7 years ago, I made my first ETF investment. Today, that money has roughly doubled. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If I knew then what I know now, it might have tripled. And I'm not talking about picking better funds or timing the market. I'm talking about 7 specific lessons that took me years of real-world experience to truly understand. Lessons that most financial planning content completely ignores. Quick disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. The first lesson hit me harder than any market crash ever could. And it's this. The math of compounding sounds simple until you actually live through it. Everyone knows the compound interest formula. Invest $10,000 at 10%, and in 7 years you'll have roughly $20,000. But what nobody tells you is how emotionally brutal that journey actually feels. Because here's what the textbooks leave out. That growth isn't linear. Some years your portfolio might surge 30%. Other years it drops 20%. And during those down years, watching your investment portfolio shrink feels nothing like the clean upward curve you see in retirement calculators. Harry learned this the hard way back in 2022. He had been investing for about 5 years at that point, mostly in broad market funds like VTI, Vanguard's total stock market ETF. His portfolio had grown nicely through the bull market. Then came the worst year for stocks since 2008. VTI dropped nearly 20% that year. Harry watched years of gains evaporate in months. And here's what makes this so psychologically devastating. When you're down 20%, you don't need a 20% gain to get back to even. You need a 25% gain. That asymmetry of losses versus gains is something you only truly internalize after experiencing it firsthand. But here's the second lesson, and it's related. Staying invested through the ugly years matters more than almost anything else. After that 2022 crash, VTI bounced back with a 26% gain in 2023, followed by another 24% in 2024. Looking at recent data, VTI has delivered an annualized return of roughly 13.5% over the past 5 years and about 14% over the past decade. The investors who panicked and sold during the drawdown missed the recovery. The ones who stayed invested and better yet kept contributing came out ahead. This isn't just theory, I've lived it. The temptation to sell at the bottom is overwhelming. Every financial headline screams that this time is different, that the economy is collapsing, that you should get out while you still can. Ignoring that noise and continuing to invest systematically is one of the hardest skills to develop. But it's also one of the most valuable for your long-term investing success. Lesson 3 might surprise you. Expense ratios matter less than you think in the short term, but they compound into massive differences over decades. When I started investing, I was obsessed with finding the absolute lowest cost funds. VTI charges just 0.03% annually. SCHD, the Schwab U.S. Dividend Equity ETF, charges 0.06%. DGRO, iShares Core Dividend Growth ETF, charges 0.08%. These differences seem trivial. What's a few basis points between friends? But here's where the compounding lesson gets real. Over 30 years, an additional 0.1% in fees on a $100,000 portfolio costs you roughly $30,000 in lost growth. That's money that could have been compounding for you but instead went to fund management. However, and this is the nuance, don't let fee obsession prevent you from investing in a slightly higher cost fund that better fits your strategy. The difference between 0.03% and 0.08% is negligible. The difference between investing and not investing is everything. The fourth lesson took me years to truly appreciate, and it's about dividends. For the first few years of my investing journey, I ignored dividend-focused ETFs entirely. Growth seemed sexier. Who cares about a 3 or 4% yield when growth stocks are returning 20 or 30%? But over 7 years, I've come to understand that dividends play a completely different psychological role than capital gains. When your growth-heavy portfolio drops 15% in a bad quarter, you have nothing tangible to show for your investment, just a smaller number on a screen. But when you own dividend-paying ETFs like SCHD, currently yielding around 3.8%, or DGRO, yielding about 2%, you receive actual cash payments every quarter, regardless of what the market does. Those dividend payments create what I call emotional staying power. They give you a reason to hold during drawdowns because you're still receiving income from your passive income streams, even when prices fall. Here's some current data to consider. SCHD holds about 100 dividend-paying stocks, things like Bristol-Myers Squibb, Merck, Lockheed Martin, Cisco, and AbbVie. Each makes up roughly 4% of the fund. The ETF requires companies to have at least 10 consecutive years of dividend payments before inclusion. That's a built-in quality filter that helps ensure you're not chasing yield from unstable companies. DGRO takes a slightly different approach, focusing more on dividend growth potential. It holds around 400 stocks, including Apple, Microsoft, JP Morgan, and ExxonMobil. The yield is lower at around 2%, but the dividend growth rate has historically been stronger. Over the past year, DGRO has delivered total returns of roughly 15%, including dividends, compared to SCHD's approximately 5%. But here's what makes this interesting. SCHD actually outperformed for much of the past decade before its recent struggles. Different funds shine in different environments. Lesson 5 is about the hidden power of dollar-cost averaging, but not in the way most people think about it. Yes, investing a fixed amount regularly smooths out your purchase prices over time. That's the textbook explanation. But after 7 years, I've discovered the real benefit is behavioral. Dollar-cost averaging removes decision fatigue. When you have a system, invest $500 on the 15th of every month, no exceptions, you don't have to wonder whether now is a good time to invest. You don't have to stress about whether the market is too high or too low. You just execute the system. And that consistency compounds into something remarkable over time. Harry set up automatic investments of $400 monthly into a simple portfolio of VTI and SCHD. Over 7 years, that consistent approach has outperformed his occasional attempts at lump sum investing, mostly because the lump sums kept getting delayed while he waited for a better entry point that never arrived. The 6th lesson concerns diversification, and it's more subtle than most people realize. Early in my investing journey, I thought diversification meant owning lots of different funds. So I accumulated 10, then 15, then 20 different ETFs, sector funds, international funds, bond funds, real estate funds. My portfolio looked impressive on paper. But here's what I eventually discovered. Many of those funds had massive overlap. VTI alone holds over 3,500 stocks. It already includes every company and more specialized funds I was buying. I was paying multiple expense ratios for what amounted to minor tilts in my overall allocation. Today, my approach is much simpler. A core holding like VTI provides broad market exposure at minimal cost. The top 10 holdings, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Broadcom, Alphabet, Meta, Tesla, and Berkshire Hathaway, make up about 35% of the fund. Technology represents roughly 35% of the portfolio, with financial services and consumer stocks following behind. Adding a dividend-focused ETF like SCHD or DGRO provides some value tilt and income generation. That's essentially it. The simplicity isn't just more cost-effective, it's more psychologically sustainable for wealth building. Now for the 7th lesson, and this one might be the most counterintuitive of all. Checking your portfolio less frequently actually improves your returns. This sounds impossible. How can ignorance help performance? But the data supports this consistently. Investors who check their portfolios daily tend to trade more frequently. More trading means more transaction costs, more tax events, and more opportunities to make emotional decisions. When you see your retirement savings fluctuate minute by minute, the volatility feels unbearable. But when you check quarterly or even annually, the same volatility is barely noticeable. In my first 2 years of investing, I checked my portfolio multiple times per day. Every red day felt like a personal failure. Every green day tempted me to celebrate prematurely. It was exhausting. Now I check maybe once a month, sometimes less. My stress levels have dropped dramatically. And here's the counterintuitive result. My returns have improved because I'm no longer tempted to tinker during temporary market dips. Let me share a specific example of how these lessons compound together. If Harry had invested $10,000 in VTI 7 years ago and simply held, reinvesting all dividends, his investment would be worth roughly $20,000 today based on VTI's historical performance. But if he had also continued adding $300 monthly during that same period, his total portfolio would have grown to approximately $45,000. That's the power of combining consistent contributions with time in the market. The math of compound interest works best when you give it both fuel and runway. There's one more uncomfortable truth I've learned over 7 years. Your investment strategy will be tested in ways you can't anticipate. I started investing with a 20-year plan. Then life happened. Medical expenses, job changes, unexpected opportunities that required capital. Having investments tied up in ETFs with embedded gains creates a psychological barrier to selling. That's mostly a good thing. It prevents impulsive decisions. But it also means you need accessible emergency funds outside your investment accounts. The investors who had to sell their ETFs during the 2022 downturn to cover expenses locked in real losses. The ones who had cash reserves were able to stay invested through the recovery. Liquidity planning isn't sexy, but it's what allows your compounding to actually work over decades. Looking back at 7 years of real-world ETF investing, the lessons that matter most aren't about which fund to pick or when to buy. They're about building systems that let compounding work its magic despite your own psychology. Automate your contributions so you don't have to decide. Choose funds with built-in quality filters so you don't have to constantly research. Check your portfolio infrequently so you don't panic. And maintain emergency reserves so you never have to sell at the worst possible time. These aren't complicated concepts, but they're incredibly difficult to execute consistently. The gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it is where most investors fail. And it's only through experiencing multiple market cycles, the crashes, the recoveries, the slow grinding gains, that these lessons truly sink in. The real wealth in ETF investing doesn't come from picking the perfect fund. It comes from staying invested long enough for portfolio diversification and compounding to work. VTI's average annual return since inception is around 9.5%. SCHD has delivered roughly 12% annualized over its history. DGRO comes in at about 12% since inception as well. None of those numbers required any special insight or market timing. They just required patience. 7 years into this journey, I've stopped trying to optimize every detail. Instead, I focus on the fundamentals that actually move the needle: consistent contributions, low costs, appropriate diversification, and the emotional discipline to stay the course when everything feels like it's falling apart. These are the compounding lessons nobody tells you, not because they're secret, but because they're boring. And boring, it turns out, is exactly what builds financial independence over time. If you want to see a breakdown of how dividend ETFs compare for generating monthly income, that video is right here. And if these compounding lessons changed how you think about your own retirement planning timeline, drop a comment below. I read every single one.